Good evening, everybody, and thank you for tuning in. This is Maxine English, and I am here with you today for Unlocking the Fearless You. It's all about conquering your fears and achieving your destiny. And today, I've got a little bit of a special guest for you. It's not just any old guest. This is the guest that helped me basically put my path down and turn around and go, you can do this, girl, get out there. And so you've not just got one fear fighter, you've got two fear fighters for the price of one. So here we are. You have got Miss Suzanne Davidson. Hello, Sue.
Hi there, Maxine. Hi there.
Now, Sue is this amazing person, and she has done so much for me in so many different ways, but I will go through that in a second. So if anybody that actually is tuning in that's never actually been here before, I'm Maxine English. I'm an international broadcaster. The global TV goes all across the world. We're in America, Canada, we're over from New Zealand, Poland, France, Spain, Finland, Poland, Nigeria, you name it, we're getting everywhere. And we make sure we get everywhere because we want to give you as much content as we possibly can. It's all about helping you out as much as we possibly can and spreading our global TV everywhere. So I'm also an entrepreneur, an award-winning transformational speaker. I'm also an author. My book is due out next month, which is called Warrior Rising, which is fantastic. I'm looking to be a business and life coach. I'm also a magazine contributor. We've got the Yes You Can magazine coming out next month, and I've contributed 4 pages in that. So look out for that one. I also am the fear fighter. I deal with people's self-esteem, conquering their fears and building up their confidence in general. And that's basically what it's all about. And this is the reason why I brought Sue on as well, because Sue is an expert. Now I know, right, after our conversation we've had, I've known Sue for, God, what was it? Last June, maybe August, June time? Yeah, something like that. I've known Sue for a long while. And, you know, I've seen her talk to people and how she is, and I've actually been on one-to-ones with Sue as well. And for what she comes out with, absolutely phenomenal. Now, I know, Sue, you are a qualified clinical hypnotherapist. You're an NLP practitioner, you're a life and business coach, you're a public speaker, you're a mum, you're a wife, you're amazing. Tell me more.
No pressure there. That's a bit of a build-up. I feel like I've got a lot to live up to.
So tell me a little bit about you, Sue, and about for what the businesses that you've done and how long you've been doing it for, and, you know, what you do and the family you've got.
So I've been running my own business for 8 years. So mum of young kids, decided I wanted to do something different, wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. So I trained in hypnotherapy, loved it, carried on my training and set my business up 7.5 years ago. My husband said to me, do you not think you should get a proper job? And I said, give me 6 months. And if this doesn't work, then I'll go back and get a proper job. Well, that was 7.5 years ago, and I've never, ever had a quiet week. Now he says to me, stop working. You're working too much.
Honestly, never satisfied.
I know. And the reason for it is I just hit a very underserviced market. So when I trained, I specialised in working with teenagers. And there's not many people that are prepared to take teenagers on because they're teenagers and they have parents. So I just niched in a very good market, and that's how the business has grown into spreading it out to help more children, families, business owners like yourself. Yes, that's kind of where it all came from.
You just like a challenge, don't you?
Yeah, sometimes. Not all the time. It'd be nice to rest.
Yeah, exactly. Well, me and Sue had some one-to-one talking, and we got together a few times and had a bit of a chat. And Sue, I class as my safe lady. She's my safe person. She was a person that I went to the first time ever. I mean, I've put on Facebook about my journey and what happened to me on that one particular day. And if you guys want to see that, you're going to have to go to my Maxine English Facebook page, in my business page, and you can see it on there. Now, I couldn't even tell that story before I spoke to Sue. And we had a load of conversations. We was meant to speak, like, you know, she had, I've got an hour spare, I can speak to you. Yeah, 3 hours later. after a nice cup of tea and a good old chinwag. It was very much that, you know, Sue got it right into the depths of everything that was going on in my life and what was going on, you know, in my core and in my brain, and she brought out the best in me and what I had to offer. So I want to say thank you, Sue, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here today and I wouldn't be helping all these other people. So you're getting me all teary now.
And it makes me so proud. But it's what makes my job worth doing. When I see you doing this and just thriving on a shitty or a bad story, you know, it makes my day. So I'm very proud.
I'm glad I've made your day.
Yeah, you have made my day. You have made my day. And that was a key thing, you know, when you meet anybody, just like you, Maxine, you know, you sit and you listen to that pain, and when you can actually get them to tap into the pain, but find the power, that resilience that you found to get you through it, and then you make it purposeful, just like what you're doing tonight, you've cracked it. It's what it's all about. It's what it's all about.
And the thing is, but by, as you said, by actually doing that, I now not only just have I healed myself in that situation, I can now heal so many other people. Now,
brilliant.
when I first like spoke, I spoke in front of like a room of like 30, 40 people, and I had a few people come up to me and say how much they liked it and how they enjoyed it, and I inspired them. And then I wanted to do it again, and it's like in rooms of like 60, 70, 80 people. Now, doing these broadcasts, you know, there's thousands and thousands of people that I can help all at once. And the thing is, I don't know it all. I'm still learning a lot. And I've learned so much over the last month. And this is the reason why I brought people in like Sue, because it's very much that Sue's been qualified. She's been doing it for a long, long time. You know, there is so many things that everybody can learn, you know, but to actually, you know, have another fear fighter on there with me. To actually have another fear fighter on with me is fantastic, because, you know, at the end of the day, is not only is she teaching you certain things and how she can help you, but it's also things that I could pick up and go, wow, actually, that's a really good thing, you know, and I never even thought about things like that. And everybody in life is still learning. Don't ever think that you'll never, you know, you'll just stop learning, because all the way through your life, that's what you'll do. So I know Sue, she's gone through quite a lot of things herself. Now, Sue, you have got 2 daughters, and I know obviously you've got a husband, as you said before. Now, tell us a little bit about you, because I know that you've gone through quite a lot, but I'm going to let you elaborate on what you've done and gone through.
Well, I kind of thought I'd had a reasonably okay life, and I was okay until you kind of start to look at yourself and sometimes realise how things have affected you, but you've just normalised it. But I'd say the most difficult part for me was when members of my family weren't coping. It was as if I could deal with things because I somehow thought I was strong, but when people around me weren't coping, I couldn't step in and save them. And as a mum, that happened to me. I'd say one of my toughest times was with my daughter, when she had depression. We had her diagnosed with ADHD. She had such levels of anxiety she couldn't go to school, and I, as a therapist, desperately wanted to fix her, because that's what I do all day, fix teenagers, but couldn't, because I had to be mum. And that was the hardest thing that I've had to do, because I naturally had to find a different way of dealing with it rather than what I'd learned. So in terms of an experience, it was one of the toughest things that I had to go through, but one of the most brilliant experiences, because it's meant I've helped a load of other mums, A, feel like they're not a crap mum, and B, just to be able to connect and have that sort of shared story that says I get them, so I know how tough it is from a mum. But I've also learnt from my daughter, which means I work even better with teenagers now. So it was horrible at the time, but like I say to anybody, everyone comes out eventually. Yeah, we all come out the other side, just a bit battered and bruised, but we do come out the other side. So I'd say that was the hardest bit for me, because I couldn't fix my daughter. And that as a mum was just horrible. But she's 18 now and she's fine, and we got through it.
Yeah, and I completely understand where you're coming from, because if anybody like has followed my story, is I've got a son with depression, and he went through depression for a long time through trauma, where he see his dad nearly murder me twice, and my daughter saw it as well, and she's got ADHD, Tourette's, and she's got low self-esteem, she's got anxiety problems, and you know, and this is one of the reasons why I went and saw Sue as well, because you know, I found it so hard to carry on with business when I had all this emotional stuff in my head, as well as coping with the children. It was also coping with my past and what had happened, and also the trauma. So there was so much information there for Sue to take in.
Yeah, thanks, Maxine.
Yeah, that's right. No, 3 hours. That was just the beginning. Yeah, so yeah, it was very much that I went through quite a lot of stuff with Sue. Now, so with your expertise that you've got, how do you separate those? I mean, obviously, I have the same problem myself, is that I've got my daughter that's got ADHD, she's got anxiety problems, you know, she's got all these problems, and I've got a son who can't be in the same room with her because where he's depressed, he can't handle her. You know, they have to be separated. I mean, how did your daughter cope? How did she deal with it? What did you do?
Well, I kind of think when we went through it, I think she just locked herself in her bedroom. I locked my husband in the conservatory. My other daughter went off the rails, and I drank a lot. Is actually what happened. And it's funny because there was a moment for me when my daughter was being seen by a therapist through the NHS. And it was very difficult for me because I could see she wasn't doing a very good job with her, and she wasn't engaging, and it was very different to how I worked. But I had to go with it because it's the help that we had. And at the moment when I had everybody locked in bedrooms because I didn't think I could deal with it anymore, I asked her for help. And I said to her, you know, my family isn't working. I want to divorce my husband because I think he had depression, so I was scared that he was going to go and have a meltdown. I said my youngest daughter was totally going a bit off the rails. So I asked for help, and she turned around and said to me, I'm really sorry, I can't help you. That's a conflict of interest. So in that moment, I decided that I'd never say that to anybody. Yeah. And hence why I now do lots and lots of work with families. So what I sat back, and it's a great thing to do for anybody that's listening. When you're in the pain, if you can just keep the belief inside of you that says, I'll come out of it, because we always do, but what can I learn from it? So I just looked at this stage that I was going through as a family, and I looked and thought, what help do we need that isn't there? And that was somebody to look after all of us. I also helped my daughter in a very non-therapist way. I was just turned into being just a mum. I had to, same as you, Maxine, I was launching a new business. I had to put it all on hold, and I had to come back home because at that moment, that was kind of what was needed. I just had to bring the family back together again. Did we do it perfectly? No. Have we learned loads of stuff since? Yes. But does it now mean that that's the basis of my work? Because my passion is helping families not feel the way that I felt. Yeah,
and I can understand that completely. It's like we're twins. It's like we've gone through so much of a lot of the same stuff. Yeah. And you know, with that, and that's what I suppose that what brought us close together as well. Because even though I'd seen you that first time, is like June, July time. And we had a couple of conversations, and that was about it. And it wasn't probably until last Christmas that, you know, we got together at a Christmas do, and we was talking. It was like, wow, we've crossed paths in so many different ways. Yeah. And, you know, and we are very much alike in a lot of ways. Yeah. And when I actually come to see you and we had a good conversation, you know, it was very much that you understood me. You understood, you know, what I was going through and how the pain that I was feeling. And by doing that, it was very much that it felt like that you could help me more. And I suppose that's why a lot of the families come to you, because, you know, because you've been through it, you know. And how many families did you say you've helped?
Oh, God, it's thousands.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
incredible.
Just one person can change thousands lives. You know, even if, like, you know, 1,000 children, they've all got brothers and sisters, they've all got mums and dads. That's a lot of thousands of people. So well done to you, Sue, because that is an amazing achievement, and I'm hoping I can get to that too, and that's amazing. Right, we've got a couple of people that's online as well. Yeah. So we've got Liz. She said hello, Sue and Max.
Hi. And,
She's one of our ladies that came to our last event in September, and yeah, she's a very lovely lady. And you got Jane, who's a friend of mine. She's coming, as you can see. There's a picture of me, her, and Michelle.
Hi, Jane.
Yeah. Jacqueline also does broadcasting as well. She's one of the ladies that interviews people as well. She wants to say hello.
Hi,
now, Liz has put, it's so saddening and worrying that so many young people are suffering with depression, anxiety. Yeah. Even a friend's 11-year-old has tried to commit suicide recently. Yeah. Oh, it's really sad. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, my daughter, she does talk about it. You know, she talks about.
And the reason, you know, obviously do lots of work, and lots of kids will come with me when they've got suicidal thoughts. My daughter had the same. I got told by one of the health visitors that my daughter would never want to hug me again. She was at such a bad place, and it's all rubbish. They don't know what they're talking about. But the reason why suicide is just, unfortunately, social media can kind of give people ideas where normally they wouldn't have had ideas. Like when I was young, I'd never even heard of anyone having suicide. It's all over social media, it's in the news, so it gives kids an option. This could be an option, rather than actually thinking, how do I work through what I need to work through? And the reason we get there is because they just don't know how to cope with the feelings that they've got, and that's the problem we have with teenagers. They don't have the resilience that we had, and we never had the pressures that they have. And that's a lot of the issues with the families, is parents find it really difficult to understand their teenagers, because it's a different world, totally different world. And it is a world full of anxiety. Everyone's taught to worry about everything, from a terrorist bomb to being, you know, going to a park, being pinched by a paedophile. You know, there's just worries after worries, and all these kids just don't know how to deal with it. And it is sad. It is sad.
I just remember playing runouts as a kid.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and this is the thing. We had such, and this is where we've got it wrong. You know, we had such brilliant, simple upbringings, and we now have all these expectations. And a lot of the stuff is, you know, kids have an expectation that they need the latest this, the latest that. It puts pressure on the parents to be able to provide, which means they're out at work longer, so they're not home to be with their kids. And we've forgotten about what it's all about, just the basics of just quality time as a family.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, I suffer quite a lot with that as well, in the respect of that, where I'm a single parent family, it's very much that when I'm working, there is nobody with the children. It is literally, they're on their own. It's like now my daughter is downstairs watching telly and my son's sitting on his laptop. So, you know, it is that thing, and it is so hard, is that when we were younger, it's very much the kids come out when the light went on, you know. They come in, I should say, when the light came on, and you came in when you was hungry. But it's like now they sit and, you know, they watch the YouTubes and they watch a lot of, you know, stuff on their phones, and they don't know how to interact. And I think that is a lot of the problems as well, is because children nowadays don't know how to interact, and they do come across lots of problems. They don't know how to deal with it.
And they don't know how to talk about it. And I'd say one of the biggest things that I deal with is social anxiety in teenagers, where they're so fearful of talking to people, literally physically talking, and saying the wrong thing or getting judged, because they don't talk unless they message each other. You know, I can have my daughter, you know, messaging me from her bedroom, and I'm like, seriously, it's got, like, we have no communication. So a lot of what I do is try and open up communication within the family, get mums and children talking, or dads and children, or mums and dads, even if they're not together, working together as a team. Because when you open up the communication and the kids know that it's safe to talk, they don't keep it inside. And that's a lot of, you know, what the problems are. Kids are too scared to talk.
Yeah, they are. And you know what, my son's exactly the same. And obviously, because where he's gone through his depression, you know, you don't want to push too hard, because you don't want him to spiral downwards. And at the same time, you don't want to push not enough, because then it feels like that you're not doing enough. And it's like, when he turned around and said to me, like, his friends come over, and I was like, amazing, brilliant. You know, he won't go out anywhere. He, you know, he has like 500 minutes on his phone a month, and he goes through 2, and that's to me. You know, and technically non-existent. So it's very much that was my biggest worry. So when he said he wanted a friend come round, I thought, amazing. But the
Yeah.
problem is I turned up from work a little bit early. I came in. What had happened, his mate had brought his PlayStation round. So he plugged it in downstairs. My son had plugged it in upstairs where it normally is. They were playing the same game, but in different rooms. I was like, mate, number one, the reason why your friends come around is to see you and you two to spend time and you know, talk to each other. And number two, my electric bill goes up by double.
Yeah, exactly. But this is the thing, and teenage boys, I would say, I think, are a bigger worry than teenage girls, and the reason for that is girls still talk, but boys, they don't go out anymore. They don't need that. I mean, I'd love to do a campaign that literally dragged all teenage boys out of their bedrooms and said, go and kick a ball around, go on your bikes, you know, do perhaps something where.
Yeah, well, perhaps you should do like an army assault course and get everyone.
Well, that's part and parcel of the business that I'm setting up. Is I'm training up some people, some younger people, to work with younger people, because I think the generation between me and teenagers, I'm just seen as some old fossil, and it's trying to build in a new generation, and I'm trying to coach or train up young lads to go and help young lads, and part of it is to start to run different sporting events, just like you said, the assault courts. You don't have to be good at sport, and that's the other thing. If you're not good at anything now, you won't dare try anything or just do it for fun, because I want to get these teenage boys out, messing around, having a laugh, talking, you know, building a bloody bonfire if that's what it takes. Because I think it's just such a shame.
Yeah. I mean, if any of you out there have got the same situation, that you've got boys that sit indoors or even girls that sit indoors and they can't get themselves out or they don't talk, you know, with both my children, they both went into Cubs, you know, boy and girl, doesn't matter. Cubs take both. And, you know, they had no choice but to interact. They had no choice but to go camping and as you said, build fires. Yeah. And it was an amazing amount of team building. And it did work the whole time that they were there. It's just when they went to Scouts, they didn't want to do it. So we just stopped it. But it's very much that, you know, if you can get children out there to try and do some kind of activity and get them involved, not only that, it's nice that when they see other children get involved, they like to get involved. But if they're doing it on their own, they're too scared to do it. Yeah,
absolutely. And I said, the difficulty is when they're teens, they don't like to try anything new because all their fears of meeting new people, a judgment, am I going to be good? And I just think it's a shame that they just lose that sense of confidence.
Yeah,
you know, and I think it's just I think it's just become such a. I was saying this to my daughter the other day. You know, I just think teenagers are so, it sounds awful, but such fake friends. I think it's really hard to find good friends because there's just this culture at the moment. They're called snakes, where you just don't trust anybody not to be talking about the next person, or posting something out on social media. I mean, the terrible things I've heard about kids having stuff like cyberbullying, horrendous stories where suddenly, you know, 1,000 people can suddenly be telling you that you should, you know, you're an awful person, and they don't even know them. And that's it's just got literally a crazy world.
There's no point. There's no need for it. There is no need for it. As you said earlier, you know, kids and adolescents have got enough worries to worry about than worrying about all the extra things. I mean, I was bullied as a child, and it was bad enough that, you know, I used to come away from school and still feel really bad. But I couldn't imagine nowadays coming away from school and still being taunted by them people that you was at school with all day.
24/7.
Yeah, it would drove me crazy. So I can completely understand the reason why kids are the way they are. And social media has gone so far forward, and it is absolutely amazing to get stuff out there in the right way. But when it does go the wrong way, it literally does nosedive. And,
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think the scary thing for parents is we still don't really understand the effect that it's having. It's all new to us. It's not our world. It's not what we've been brought up in. So, like, you know, and the addictions that are being created from PlayStation, even just the addiction to the phones, their brains are so stimulated that it means that when they stop doing that, and you might ask them to go and, I don't know, play a game with you, it's so boring. So boring because they're and it's not you personally, obviously. But it's just because they're looking for high stimulation because that's what they get, especially, unfortunately, for teenage boys, particularly on the PlayStations and stuff. So it's a hard world for parents, you know, and I think just to have the support out there to give parents or to educate them about how to help parent or even get them to understand their teenager. You know, I learned so much from teenagers about what they want their parents to know or how to deal with things. The parents just, unless I intervene and help them explain it, the parents are just naively going along thinking they're doing a good job.
Yeah, yeah.
Till it gets bad, yeah.
Yeah, okay, right. We've got some more questions here. All right, Lisa's put, I'd love to put her in contact with you, Sue. So there you go. You've got yourself somebody there. So if you can contact Liz at the end of the show. Jacqueline's put, well done, Sue, for saving so many people's lives.
Yeah.
Okay, that's always a nice thing to say. Thank you very much for that, Jacqueline. And she's got a question for you. How, as parents, what can or should we be doing to relieve social anxiety?
Do you know what? The key thing is, you know, this is where it's a tough one. You can be in control of your home, but when they're out at school, you kind of lose a sense of control with your kids. So with children, it's about making sure they always have a space to talk to you. So to start with, always having that open dialogue with you, not you telling them what you think they should do, but getting them to think about how can they manage this situation. Because a lot of social anxiety, in fact, I'd say majority of it, is a fear of, I don't know how to deal with situations. But actually, if you talk to a kid, they very often, even if you ask them, how would you like to be able to deal with it? Then at least they're starting to think for themselves, to think, how do I cope in that situation? In terms of, and this is the difficulty, Jacqueline, for mums, is we're expected to be everything. We're expected to be teachers when they're doing their homework. We're expected to be coaches when they're doing sports and trying to encourage them and get them places. We're meant to be therapists when our kids are having mental health issues. But actually, we're just mum. And sometimes that's what a kid needs, is just mum, to always know that they've got that safe person that will listen. And that to me is so key. We're busy people now. Lives are very, very busy. And sometimes we forget to listen. And in terms of techniques to release anxiety, you know, one of the great things is, one, to be able to get your child to talk about it in a non-judgmental way, and don't jump in and try and save them. Yeah, don't tell them what you think it should be. I said, allow them to be able to connect with you, to be able to manage their stress levels. So to be able to teach children, even if it's just like basic, like meditation, breathing exercises, just giving them like some tools to just so they can relax again. Kids don't relax. But most importantly, and this is an interesting one, very often with anxiety, a child will be saying, but what if that happens, Mum? What if this happens? What if that happens? Play through their what if scenarios. So, okay, so what if that person doesn't talk to you? How are you going to deal with it? It teaches them to find their own resilience and answers, rather than just going, oh, it'll be okay, don't worry about it, because we don't want to hear it. Actually get them to work through their fears with you, because there'll always be an answer. And even if that, and I've said it to you, Maxine, what's the worst that's going to happen? You know, nothing's going to fall off. Your leg's not going to fall off. Your arm's not going to fall off. But it gets them to believe that they can handle it, and it's resilience that we need to bring in our kids. I hope that helped.
No, that is a massive help. Now, you know, as you know, my daughter's got anxiety, and you know, when she first started senior school, nearly 2 weeks ago now, and you know, the first day she was like, I can't wear this tie, I can't wear this blazer, you know, everyone's going to laugh at me. And I was like, everybody's wearing the same thing. And she was like, no, I'm not doing it. And I said, right, just calm down, breathe. And I got her to do her breathing exercises, which obviously we've done together and stuff like that. And I got her to do those, and she calmed herself down. But we had 2 panic attacks and anxiety attacks through that day, and then literally like through the morning. And then as we got into the car, she had another one, and she was going absolutely off the chart. And I just sat there, I stopped the car, and I said, right, give me a cuddle. And we just sat there and we just had a cuddle.
Lovely.
And she calmed herself down. And we got there and we sat in the car together, and she watched children walk past. And I said to her, I said, look, everybody's wearing exactly the same as what you're wearing today. You don't have to worry about you looking odd, you looking out of place, you looking like a weirdo, which was her words. I don't want to look like a weirdo. I said, like, you know, you are just you. I said, and you are dressed exactly the same way, so there's no reason for anybody to say anything. And she went in and she was fine. Now, the next thing that we're overcoming is that I'm taking her to and from school at the moment, but I need her to know that if at any time I can't get to the school, whether I'm out working or I'm at an event or something like that, I need to know that she can get home okay. Yeah. So we're working through at the moment of her walking to my mum's, and it's very much that we've not quite conquered it yet, but every day we're driving that way, making sure she knows, and then it's going to go to walking. And this is the thing, when you've got some child with anxiety, it's very much that you have literally got to go step by step.
I was just going to say,
yeah, it is you know, you have to build up to everything. And I always find as well with my daughter is that if she's got a problem and she shouts at me, which she does, then if I shout back at her, we butt heads. But if I actually just stop and give her a cuddle, she says, I'm sorry, mummy, I didn't mean to do that. I just had a weird thing in my head that told me I had to shout at you. And it just completely confused me.
And that is absolutely key, Maxine. So that's spot on, because what happens as parents is we think the child's being rude and they're shouting at us, but sometimes you have to look beneath the behaviour and go, but why are they doing it? They're stressed. When we're stressed, we have three options. I'm yelling at you, I'm panicking, or I'm desperately trying to run away from a situation. So when a child behaves like that, it's just really stressed. But parents, we take it personally because it looks like it's bad behaviour. That then makes us stress. So we then start to get cross. But when you stay calm and just say, it's okay to feel like that, it allows the child the space to just, like you said, like rebalance. But most importantly, it's the baby steps. You're spot on there. Baby steps with anxiety. So the social anxiety, small, just very, very small. Build confidence up slowly, rather than forcing them into a big thing, which will create the panic.
Exactly that. Right. So we've gone through the anxiety stuff. So if I said to you, how would you deal with depression? Because obviously you went through depression with your husband, you went through depression with your daughter. And, you know, if anybody out there that's got depression, or whether, you know, they've got someone with depression, how would they deal with that?
Well, I think the thing to realise with depression is you don't wake up one day and, you know, one day I went to bed and I was happy as Larry. The second day I woke up and I was depressed. Depression doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual, build up. And what I'll say to anybody is, you know, so if someone's depressed, ask the question, when were they last happy? So what was going on in their lives when they felt good? And what's the thing that's missing now? Very often when someone says I'm depressed, it's because they've not speaking to their friends, they're not looking after themselves, they might have had a fallout with family, they're not enjoying their job. It's actually the environment, their life, that's making them feel like that. So very often you want to say, well, what needs to change? Yeah, the times when we're feeling really bad, like my husband, when he has depression, I know it's around his work really affects him. So I'll say to him, what needs to change in your work to allow you to be able to cope better? Yeah. Or it may be that you know, you've just come out of a relationship. Yeah, so you've not got that partner anymore. So it's very often it's what is going on around you and what do you need to take account. Depression is a very internal way of looking. Yeah. When you look on the outside.
So, what I was about to say is that if you've got someone like you were just talking about just now, if you've got someone that's got depression, but they don't want to talk to you about anything, they just literally, they've got these blinders up and they're not interested in anybody in anything. How do you get through that?
Do you know what? I kind of say to everybody, sometimes they just need people to hold the space for them. Yeah, ideally, obviously, I'll be saying get them professional help. You know, go to the doctors or come and see a therapist or a coach or somebody just to talk. But if they're kind of not ready, and everything in life is about the right time, you know that everything's about when the time's right. Sometimes you just need to hold the space. And one thing that I had to do with my daughter was just hold the space for her to keep it safe. so she could find her way through it. They will find their way through it, but that constant reassurance, a bit like you giving your daughter a hug, just them knowing that you're there, even subconsciously, will help them kind of pull through this. But I say it to everybody, no one can fix you just so badly, but I couldn't fix it. She had to find it herself. Yeah, so we all have to find this within us. So sometimes, like I said, unfortunately to a mum, they want these magical answers and pills. What can I do for my daughter? And sometimes it's listen, hold the space. Does something need to change in the environment that makes it healthier? So look at the relationships and the dynamics in the home. Because if there's arguments between mum and dad, that will affect people. So having a healthy, nurturing environment to be in means you'll pull out your depression much, much quicker. If the environment is a bit depressing, then it kind of keeps you there. But I'd always say get professional help. Yeah, that's always going to be my answer, because at the end of the day, you can only be mum, dad, husband, wife, friend. You know, the relationship isn't the right dynamic, as you know, you need that right dynamic.
Yeah, and that's exactly that. I mean, it's very much that, you know, if you have got someone that's got depression, and like you said, so it's very much like, you know, you can't push them into, you know, you need to do this, you need to do that. They need to do it in their time. It's like, you know, you can put a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Exactly the same scenario. Yeah, yeah.
So that's why sometimes, so that's why sometimes the support needs to come. And what I often find is I need to support parents to help them just hold the space. Yeah, because if not,
great. Yeah, exactly that. Roxanne's put, I remember my teenage son telling me that he doesn't always want me to give him solutions, but just to be a sounding board.
Okay, so that is brilliant, Roxanne. And I would say a huge amount of teenagers, because they don't want you just to tell them what to do. They just need to offload. And that, I would say, is one of the hardest things as a parent, because we want to fix them. We want to give them the solution. No, listen to me, I know best. But it's really important in life that we all have a shoulder to cry on. And the person that you choose to be your shoulder to cry on has to be able to not try and fix you. Yeah. So like so Roxanne, your son, absolutely, he just wants to offload, but he doesn't want you to fix it, because he just wants to get it out. And if you try and stop him by fixing him, all you've done is you've pushed it back inside. So it's a little bit like being emotionally sick, right? A bit gross. But if you've got something wrong with you, you've got to throw up until it's all out. If someone tried to stop you halfway, you'd have to still feel horrible. So we need that person. But it's quite challenging for the person that's the shoulder to cry on to not have to fix it, just to say, it'll be all right, love. Yeah, it's another day. Yeah, you're doing brilliantly. But one other piece of advice I'd love to give to any parent, and again, I had to learn this one, is if you have a child, rather than thinking you know what they need, just ask them. I had this little mantra with me and my daughter, which was, what do you need from me right now? And sometimes it was just to be left alone. Sometimes it was to have a hug. Sometimes it was to talk things through. Yeah. So sometimes it's ask the person, what do you need from me? That was brilliant.
Yeah. As mummy, it's just sitting there and it's listening and taking it all in. And when they need you, they come to you, and then you can obviously, you know, talk to them about it. But until they're ready and want to come and see you, it's very much, you just have to wait. And as you said, it's the hardest thing in the world, because all you want to do is love and protect your child. And
absolutely.
You know, is that. Michelle said hello, so that's
hi.
Roxanne, thankfully we do listen, we do talk, and we do listen, which is absolutely fantastic.
You know what, that's all you can do. It's brilliant, mum.
Yeah, brilliant. See, brilliant mum, Roxanne. Woo woo. Okay, so my next question is more or less on self-esteem. So we've gone through depression. So anybody that's actually joined us already, we've gone through with Sue. Sue is a bit of everything. She does therapy, hypnotherapist, she does life and business coaching. You know, she looks after teenage, she looks after families. You know, she's a mum, and she's amazing, and you know, and she does everything she possibly can to help whoever she can, and I look up to Sue amazingly, and she's brilliant. And what we've been talking about is building up self-esteem, and also building up confidence, going through anxiety issues, and also depression. Now, so on the self-esteem issue, how do you find the people that you've worked with previously? I know I'm not asking particular cases or anything. How did you bring up self-esteem in those children?
Well, the thing is, all of us have, so every single person will have a confident part of them. The problem is it tends to come out in just small areas of our life. So, for example, you might be confident at football, or you might be confident at dancing, you might be confident at gymnastics, whatever it is. We all have a confident part in us, and it's about teaching the child to connect into that part, not the worried part of them. So we'll have a confident part and a worried part. Once you can get them to tap into that confidence, the way that I'll do that is I'll get them to remember things that they've already done, even if it's just really simple things like, you know, if somebody with anxiety did manage to go into school that day, so then you pick up all the positives within them and you get them to remember, how did they do it? Because nobody gave anybody a magic wand. When I work with you, Maxine, you know, what got you through that difficult time? And when you start to remember just how strong, courageous, brave, determined that you were, your self-esteem can start to feel that the power inside of what happened to you rather than the pain of what happened. So it's always about pulling out, you know, in any single person, there is always an amazing person waiting to come out, and it's just teaching them how to tap into that and not listen to external approval, but just look for that internal approval.
Yeah. Because no matter how many, when you've got low self-esteem, no matter how many people tell you how amazing you are, unless you believe it yourself, you're never going to get it.
No,
you know, because all you do is tell yourself after, oh, they're lying, it's not going to work. Yeah. So, you know, we've got Jane here that Sarah said, unfortunately, the NHS, in personal experience, is not at all helpful. I've been waiting 4 weeks to see my doctor and still can't get to see her. And financially, not everyone could afford private help. So many people can't get the space, and it's such a shame.
Well, do you know what, Jane? You're absolutely right. You know, the reason I didn't want to work in the NHS is because I actually don't agree with a lot of their processes of red tape and actually the therapy that they offer, which is why I run private practice. But I totally understand. I went through the NHS system with my daughter, and it was shocking. But I think I went through it for me as a mum to experience just how bad the service is. So one of the things that made me launch my idea for this new business that's going to be coming is to be able to help as many parents as I can that can't necessarily afford to have the one-to-ones by offering workshops, talks, being able to connect in a, you know, this kind of level that you're doing, Maxine. But for me, it's about trying to offer a support and a space for parents that I can actually, as a professional, offer them ideas and strategies and understanding about their kids, and also for them not to feel on their own, because the NHS system is at breaking point. And you know, somebody had was suicidal and literally had about a 6-month waiting list. You know, if you're suicidal, you need help now. Yeah, not hold on to it for 6 months. You know,
no, that's a long.
And that's kind of what happened to me when I was at the point where I felt my family was at the breaking point. And they said to me it was a conflict of interest. And in that moment, I really needed help. We worked it through. And then 3 months later, somebody from a family support group phoned me up and said, oh, you've been on a waiting list. And I said, it was 3 months ago. I was ready to either stab or divorce my husband. I'm not sure which one. I wanted to chuck one of my kids out because I couldn't deal with 2 children at the time. I wouldn't talk to anybody because I was embarrassed, because I was a therapist and thought I somehow should have my stuff together. So yeah, 3 months, and I was thinking, yeah, I could have been in a completely different place if I didn't have the knowledge that I had, and that's the bit that I want to share with parents. And it is just a shame that it's like it.
It is. I just want to thank you for, I don't know who it is on Global TV. It's obviously one of the speakers. They're finding it really interesting what you're talking about. So going on to the last topic that we've got here, so is obviously we've gone through so much when it comes down to the emotional side of it. The only thing we've not touched is business. Now, you do business and life coaching, and I know that you're based in Essex, you're based near Chelmsford, and you know, and you deal with a lot of stresses, you deal with, you know, coping with everything when it comes down to your family life, but we're not talked about how you cope in business. Now, a lot of people that are actually watching this will also be in business or want to start up a business. And as me and you have gone through, is the fact is that, you know, being a parent, having children that have got problems, or whether having a partner that's got problems, or even if you've got your own problems, you know, it's not easy. How would you say, as a life coach or as a business coach, is the way to move forward with these problems?
Well, to be honest, at the end of the day, you know, I do. If somebody comes to me for business coaching, I know that I tend to actually be supporting the business owner, and very often it's working out where's the stress coming from. So is the stress coming from your business because your business isn't functioning well? Is it because your staff are having issues? So if the staff are having issues, then I'm in with the staff working out, well, what's going on, where are their stresses being caused? But very often when I work with somebody in business, it actually isn't the business that's causing them stress. It's the outside life that's causing them stress. That if they can get a balance or deal with things, and again, open up communication, perhaps with partners that might not understand the amount of time that they're having to work, that when they can sort their stuff out on the outside of business, actually sometimes they can manage better. So it's a real balance between the two. But very often, if a business has people, people are often the problem, because people carry their problems.
And I completely understand that, because when I came to you, and it was very much, you know, I came to talk about business, and talk about business, not till later. But it was very much that, you know, what was stopping me in my business was obviously about my past and what I'd gone through and what I had to deal with, and, you know, and about the children. And once you'd got over all that and explained to me about what was going on and how it was all working, and I actually figured it out, it was easier to move forward. It was like this hurdle was just this little bit too high that I just couldn't seem to just get it. I could see it, I could feel it, but I just couldn't get over it. And it's good that, you know, talking to yourself, it was very much that, you know, it sort of, that hurdle sort of disintegrated in front of me, and I was like wide open, and I was like, wow, why couldn't I just do this? Because sometimes you just need to talk. And it was very much like you were saying earlier, that when it's yourself that's going through it, you just take it as it's just everyday things, it happens. But when it's other people, like people that you love, you try then deal with it. And I just accepted it is what it is. And obviously you showed me that wasn't the right way.
But that's what we do, though. We normalise our pain. So when it becomes normal and we just deal with it, we don't actually allow ourselves to I don't know, that whole, you know, live the life as free as we want to. We end up just saying it's okay to live in this crappy way. Actually, it's not. You don't have to. But the bit with business, and I think that I'm very passionate about, I'm really passionate about mums that are in business, and dads as well, because when I was young, my dad had his own business and never talked, and it just got so stressful that one day he come home and couldn't cope. So he left the home, but it was because of the business that was so stressful, and he couldn't talk to my mum, because my mum had the hump, because he was always at work, so she didn't want to hear about work. So he had nobody to talk to, and it meant that he had to leave the family home because everything had just got too much. So again, that's another reason why I'd like to go out and support business owners, you know, men and women, that their stress that they have at work doesn't come in and affect their family life, where suddenly it could be breaking up families. So that's why I said it's a two approach.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the reason why when you said a bit earlier about your husband, that he had depression, you knew it was to do with the business, that you wanted to overcome it and cause the problems, because, you know, your fear was that you was going to lose him, because you didn't want to happen to your husband with what happened to your dad.
Absolutely.
And you knew obviously how you felt as a child, and you didn't want your children going through the same thing. And that's the thing, a lot of things in our childhood come along and either help us in our adulthood, or, you know, we do sit there and we think, you know, we panic about it. And it's not until you realise how to overcome it that then works out that it's okay, it doesn't matter, we'll deal with this.
And this is important. because so much of our childhood, kids don't have choices about what they grow up in. Yeah, your kids didn't choose what they grew up in with you and dad. They never chose that. And that's the difficulty, because things will impact you for the rest of your life until you stop and get work done. Yeah, go and see a therapist, go and see a coach, sort your stuff out, and it's okay. So nobody has to stay that way. But that's, again, one of the things that I'm so keen to do with like new parents is teach them how to get the environment really ready for the kids, rather than old stuff that's happened to them when they were kids suddenly becoming a fear. Like you said, mum and dad splitting up, or actually they repeat the bad parenting. Yeah, because that's what tends to happen. We just parent as we were parented, but we try and do a better job because we have no other data. So it's about education. This is what I'm really passionate about. It's about educating people.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to ask you a couple of things, because I can obviously see the time. I don't want to keep you too long. Your why, Sue? I mean, I know that I know you, and I know a lot of things about you, but obviously tell the viewers, your why, the reasons why you're so passionate about helping other families and business owners to overcome their fears, their confidence, and their self-esteem.
Because my why is, and I think it can be the same for anybody, when you hit a moment in your life and you need help and you reach out and nobody's there, that you don't want other people to not have the help that you didn't have. So even though I'd already got a therapy business, I wasn't necessarily focusing on the whole family dynamics. I was working on individuals. But that day when I put my hand out and said, I can't cope, I can't do this anymore, and there was nobody the other side of it, that's when I thought, okay, I'm learning this because that's where I need to be, the other side of it, but for other people. So that's kind of my why.
And that's a great way to do it, because that's sort of like my why as well, is that because I've been through the domestic violence side, and the fact is that I got help, but it wasn't the help that I really needed. It didn't really get into the intricate details and it didn't go into my past. They were just like, how are you? How are you feeling? You're out of the situation now, congratulations. And the thing is, it's like, I would love to help someone hand in hand and say, look, you're not out of this situation yet. Let's get you out of this situation. Let's help you through it. And that's what it's all about. It's helping everybody else out. Now, I know obviously we've talked about challenges already in family, but and we talked about when it comes down to social media, and we talked about bullying. I mean, is there any other thing you personally think, if they're in life today, the challenges that kids and adults that have got?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm honest, I think it's disconnection. If I had to kind of put it into a word, I think we're very disconnected. So it's weird how we think social media connects us across the global, across the globe. Actually, as a society, we're very disconnected. And I think we have become very insular in our own little worlds. And I think that's one of the key, one of the deepest needs that we have is love and connection. And I think we've just forgotten about what connection means. I was always brought up that every Sunday I'd sit around the dinner table. Do we sit around the dinner table? Do we play board games? And again, it's about bringing it back to basics. Because I feel that, like you said, you'll have your teenage son playing your PlayStation, you'll have your teenage daughter on YouTube. If you've got a partner, he may be in one room watching Sky, you're in the other room watching Netflix. So where does that quality time come? And that for me is key. So if anyone can just take one thing, it's about the people that you love, really stay connected by having that quality time, and not on the phones, not on the TVs, actually back to basics. And being with each other again.
That's right. So guys, two things. Number one, for half an hour a day, turn your phone off, spend it with the kids. You don't need to be on your phone 24/7. Half an hour, you will cope. Making sure you spend that quality time with your family, with your children. And number two, me and Sue are going to go play Bulldog after. If you want to join us, you're more than welcome. So very quickly, so you've got your life coaching that you're doing, which is called Life Coaching Circle. So obviously you want to make a difference. It's very different to other therapies that are out there. And, tell us a little bit about the framework that you've got and what you're looking to do.
So the Life Coaching Circle is based on a circle of people that we can work with any member of your family. So whether it be the teenager, the young child, the parents, the mum and dad, or even just the individual. Yeah, it could just be just one person in the family. So it means basically that the circle of people, we've got you, it's kind of like we've caught you. And the key thing to all this is education. What I've learned over my years of running a practice is that one thing that we're all lacking is it's like basic psychology, understanding other people, and then they're not so confusing. And it's about understanding our feelings, our emotions. So it's the bit that is different. It's like you have the therapy and you have the coaching, and the bit that kind of brings it together is education. So it's about understanding you, and then you can understand the people around you. So that's kind of the key bit.
It's knowledge, isn't it? Knowledge is key.
Knowledge is so powerful. Well, I always say knowledge is interesting until it's applied, and then it's powerful. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think we can all read self-help books, but do we actually do anything with them? It's like reading a diet book, but do you actually go on the diet?
Yeah.
I think I want to help people learn, so it's information that they can take into their families and instantly make a difference. That's kind of the difference.
Yeah, exactly that. And at the end of the day, it is all about taking action, and the more action you take, the better it will be. And that's the missing key. Is people go, oh, I've got a whole library, but how many of those books have you actually read? And then what have you actually done about it after? So Jane's just got Inspired to Achieve, just someone said, very true, and social media and connection in between ourselves and community today. Jane's put, great live, ladies, thank you. So we're helping out already. That's always brilliant. Good. Now that's the wrap up of it today, guys. I know we've run a little bit over, obviously more than what I should have done. However, I knew that this was a very, very important subject. It's very much that, when it comes down to fears, when it comes down to social anxieties, depression, self-esteem issues, confidence, everything you could possibly imagine when it comes down to your life revolves around it at some point. And everybody needs to overcome it in their own little way, but always reach out, always ask for that help, always make sure you've got that safe person that you can talk to get it out, because if you don't, it festers up inside of you, and if you don't bring that out, you're either going to take it out on somebody else, or someone else is going to take that out on you, and it's not going to help anybody. And listen, you have 2 ears, 1 mouth for a reason. Yeah. And just make sure that when you've got your children, is that you listen to what they've got to say, understand what they're saying. If they need your help, they want to speak to you, they will. Don't pressure them. If they don't want to speak to you, leave them be. They'll talk to you when they want to talk to you. And at the end of the day is, I know us mums want to mollycoddle our children, and that's the thing that we do best, because we feel like that we're doing a good job. But doing a good job is listening to what they really want. So I want to say thank you very much to Sue for obviously.
Lovely to be here. That's okay.
And, you've been absolutely amazing, and you've given so much content and helped out so many people that are watching this, and I'm going to be sharing it all over the place. And guys, for any of you that are watching tonight, it is such a topic that should go across the world. So you please like and share this page. Please like and share what you've seen tonight, and let's make this global to help every single person around this world cope, achieve, and overcome. So thank you very much for your time, Sue. Thank you very much for everybody that's sent messages and who's watched today. And thank you very much when you actually watch the replay. It's absolutely amazing. Thank you very much, guys, and I'll see you on Tuesday. Take care. Bye-bye.